I'm getting some questions over on my Instagram about different techniques that I used when I first started bird watching, and I thought I would share a bit of my story. So I had to go out and I fetched out this book. This was my first ever bird book. Now there's a bunch of apps that you can use while you're out in the field. It's a little bit more efficient. You don't have to lug around a book, but there's just something about a bird book that's so nice. This is the Field Guide to the Birds of North America, and it was the first book that really got me excited about birds. I absolutely love the plates. The drawings are really beautiful. They add maps right next to the species, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you have to flip to the back to see the range map for certain individuals, it could get a little bit complicated, and it also takes a lot of time. And when you're out in the field, you want to be as efficient as possible. If you're interested in a book like this, I'll actually link it down below for you, and you can check it out on Amazon. So I got into bird watching about 3 years ago, and it was actually a requirement for one of my courses that you had to go out, ID, and record all your bird lists. And at first I think I was like most people, you're like, really, birding? Why would you go out birding? Why would you spend your time birding? The more I did it, the more I realized that birding is like real life Pokemon. The birds are the Pokemon, and your field guides and your apps that track your life list and give you all the information on the birds, that's your Pokedex. And when I had this revelation, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta see them all. I gotta go out, I gotta see all these birds. And I was all happy, I was really excited to start the project. And then you actually go out and you get your binoculars, you see your first bird, and then you go, what the hell do I do with this? This has over 1,000 species, so by the time you actually get to a page that looks about right for the bird you saw, you either forget what the bird actually looked like, you forget certain characteristics. And when I was first starting out, that was my biggest struggle, was how do you locate the right section in the book? I was so fixated on color that I wouldn't really look at different characteristics. So I wouldn't look if it had wing bars, I wouldn't look if it had a supercilium, an eye ring, nothing. I would just kind of look at the color, I'd be like, oh, okay, it's a yellow bird, it's small, let me go look. And then you never find it. You'll never find it like that. You need to look at different characteristics, specific characteristics. And when you're first starting out, it could be a little bit daunting. But the one thing that helped me was the beak. It's all about the beak. So knowing which beak belongs to which bird isn't a concrete way to ID a species, but what it does is it definitely guides you. And when you first start birding, you really need that guidance. I was all over the place. I needed something that can kind of push me in the right direction. And no matter what I tried when I was first starting, the beak was definitely the best guidance. So once I was really comfortable with my bird beaks, and I knew which beaks belonged to which family, another thing that took my bird identification to the next level was the ability to go out into the field and take photos. If you're going out and taking photos of birds in your area, you have the ability to take that image back home and then look through the field guide and properly ID it, because I didn't have to rely on seeing the bird quickly in the field and it taking off and then trying to remember the different characteristics. If I could take a photo in the field and then bring it back home and then ID it at my own speed, it helps so much because you can see so many little details that you might not see in the field. So if you have a camera, if you have a phone and binoculars, you can take photos through your binoculars. It's not the best, but it's still better than nothing. So to end off this video, just quickly summarize the 2 tips again. First one is using the beak of the bird to guide you in the book and to help you understand the different families. And the second tip is bring a camera with you out into the field so you can take photos and ID them back home. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on the 2 tips that really helped me when I was first getting into birding. I also realized I never filmed an intro video about myself here on the channel. If you have any questions for me about birding, bird banding, filming, photography, anything, leave them down below and I'll try to get to them in that video. I'm about to get rained on. So I'll see you guys next week.